Hi everyone, this is Daniel from Ultimate Brick Collecting, and today we're excited to present our first video. Following last year's release of the giant Technic 42082 rough terrain crane, we thought it would be interesting to provide an overview of all three Technic mobile cranes, which as you've seen are all very impressive models. In each of their respective years, they are all flagship models that push the upper limits of the Technic series to new heights. The first mobile crane, set number 8421, was released in late 2005 and packed what was then a record-setting 1,884 parts and continued to reign supreme as the largest Technic set until the release of the 8110 Unimog set in 2011. Since Lego seems to be pushing the bar higher almost every year lately, it seems abnormal to think about one set managing to sit atop the list for 6 years straight. I personally vividly remember being excited receiving this exact set in high school when it was first released, and it will always have a soft spot in my memory. The second mobile crane, set number 42009, was released in late 2013 and reclaimed the record from the Unimog set with a then huge part count of 2,606. Despite its size, which far surpassed the Unimog set, it didn't spend nearly as long the top of the list as its four-axled brother, and was quickly dethroned just 2 years later by the impressive 42043 Mercedes-Benz A-Croc set. At the end of the day, this set was simply a larger and more updated version of the original model with improved functionality and appearance. The third mobile crane, set number 42082, was released only several months ago in late 2018, and once again reclaimed the record for the largest part count with a huge 4,057 parts, a level that seemed impossible only a decade earlier. Based on the early pre-release information available, it appears this record won't stand for long, with the new Liebherr R9800 mining excavator set expected to surpass this level upon its release later this year. Unlike the last mobile crane, this one is an entirely new design, at least from an appearance standpoint, and was built on a considerably larger scale than the previous two mobile cranes. Now moving on to their functionality, which is perhaps the most important aspect for a Technic model, as a Technic model with poor functionality may as well have been made from the more visually appealing system parts. Overall, each of these three sets have an excellent quantity of functions, which have continued to improve as the years passed. The majority of the functions on the original model are hand operated, which include driving, steering, prop deployment and boom pivoting. The only one of these functions we've found lacking in design is the prop deployment, as it's jerky and inconsistent. The raising and lowering of the boom are operated with pneumatics, and while this works adequately, it's not nearly as smooth or as easy to make small adjustments as the linear actuators used on later sets. However, the designer cannot be criticised, as linear actuators weren't a Lego part in 2005. Finally, the boom extension and winch control are motor operated and work well, with the double extending boom being a nice design element that enhances the model. The second model retained these motor operated functions while also replacing the pneumatic boom control with motor operated linear actuators, in addition to the now also motor operated prop deployment. This greatly improved the model's overall functionality compared to its predecessor, as these were its two main weak points. The driving, steering and boom pivoting were left hand operated, and while motor operated boom pivoting would have been a nice feature to include, its absence has not materially detracted from the overall model. The third model further improved these motorized functions by including motorized boom pivoting, while the driving and steering remains hand operated. This is quite understandable, since the sheer size and weight of the set would have made motorizing these functions quite costly and made it even less affordable. Even though we don't know if Lego will ever produce another mobile crane even larger and more complex than this one, we strongly suspect this is the highest level of functionality they will ever include. Although appearance and styling isn't the primary criteria for a Technic model, it's undeniable that for a model to be truly worthy of collecting, it must have a degree of visual appeal. This doesn't necessarily mean the model has to be the most beautiful modern masterpiece, as a well-crafted older model can still have nostalgic charm that makes them visually appealing. Once again, all of the three models are visually appealing and can be proudly displayed, although their appearance and visual styling has clearly evolved over the years. The most notable difference to the trained eye is between the first two models, and although on the surface they may appear very similar, their comparison represents one of the biggest transitions the Technic series has ever undergone. This transition is, of course, the move from the traditional studded design to the newer studless design, with the first model caught halfway through this transition and containing both studded and studless parts, whereas the second model is completely studless. Despite the nostalgia of the studded era, I must admit the studless design is more visually appealing and easier to clean, which is a nice bonus. The main difference when comparing the second and third model is quite obviously the vast size difference, with the newest model being built on a considerably bigger scale using the newer 94.3mm tyres versus the traditional 62.4mm tyres that are normally featured on Technic vehicles. Aside from this and the superficial colour change, the core styling between the two latest models is very similar as they are both from the same studless design era. All three of the models present approximately the same level of difficulty, which is moderate but easily manageable for someone who has experience building Technic models. If you've never built a Technic model before, you may find these challenging. However, if you avoid rushing and carefully follow their instructions, then you should be capable of completing these builds without any significant problems. Similar to most Technic models released after 2000, their instructions contain quite small and simple steps to follow. At the end of the day, our personal favourite is difficult to choose as we love all of them. However, if we had to pick our favourite, it would be the second mobile crane from 2013 as it offers the best mix of functionality and appearance. Let us know in the comment section below which one is your favourite. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check our next video that will be covering both the A and B model of the bucket wheel excavator working together simultaneously.